want to get to some Canes Hoops as practice started yesterday. As always, all the Canes Hoops coverage is brought to you by Aries Law PA, AriesLawPA.com for your estate planning needs. This is trust, wills, plan your future so others don't. Protect the people and assets that you value the most. Schedule your free consultation online or in person. You can contact him here on the website. You see the address to the office there in the Gables, headed towards Brickell down Coral Way. So again, AriesLawPA.com. And what I'm going to do here is this. I'm going to play here in a second. I'm going to play my interview with Zack Zillner, Miami strength and conditioning coach. He has a way fancier title than that. Director of Sports Performance. It's about a 15-minute interview. Sat down with him last week in the weight room. So I'm going to play that right now. And then when that interview is done, I'm going to come back and give you some notes on Canes Hoops, things that I'm hearing from around the program and things of that nature. So without much further ado, here is Zack Zillner, Director of Sports Performance for Men's Hoops. I will be on right after the interview. All right, joining me now on the CanesInSight podcast, the Director of Sports Performance here at Canes Hoops, Zack Zillner. Zack, welcome to Miami. I know you've been here for a few months now. Let's talk about the adjustment personally for you, right? I mean, what's that been like? You're a guy from Midwest, from Kansas, worked in Austin for so long. So what's the move been like for you?
Thanks for having me. Move's been great. I mean, it's hard to complain when you live 10 minutes from one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. But it's great. The city here is vibrant. It's alive. There's something to do all the time. And the people down here are even more amazing. So it's been a great adjustment period since April, and excited for what's to come.
So the connection between you and Coach Lucas, obviously he was at Texas for a period there, both as a player and as a coach. You were with the women's team over there. So talk about how that relationship first started and then kind of built over the years to the point that he called you up and said, hey, I need you to be the guy that leads the sports performance here at Canes Hoops.
Absolutely. So we were both young coaches. That was 8 years ago down in Austin. And I was the head for the women's basketball team down there, and then assisted with the men's basketball team. So just going to practices the day in and day out of what basketball involves. You know, we got to talking about training philosophy, coaching philosophy, and I think we aligned with a ton of that stuff. And then we've stayed in touch throughout the years with his journey at Kentucky and Duke, and he's just been someone that I've stayed in contact with. And so when he gave me the call, I was on the first flight down here.
Director of Sports Performance. We kind of said before the show, it's a long title. I mean, obviously you're in the weight room with the guys. We're here in the weight room right now. Beautiful facility here on campus. But what does that entail, really? Because we know about the in-weight room stuff, but there's more to it than just that. So can you just talk about what that role really entails?
For sure. It's the big conduit to get all this information to coach. So everything from nutrition, athletic training, and physical therapy, and then obviously sports performance within the weight room. So getting all that information with sports science, our progress with the guys and everything, and then packaging that up for an easier understanding for a coach to digest.
If you were going to kind of explain to someone, hey, this is my general philosophy when it comes to doing what we're talking about, they're getting these guys the information, having them, go out there and perform on that. What would you say your general philosophy in this space is with the team?
I always tell our recruits and our guys who get on campus, it's a you-centered approach. So it's not a freshman program, it's not a guard program or a post program, it's a you-centered approach. So when they get on campus, we put them through a battery of sports science testing. We sit down and meet to figure out what their goals are. I sit down with coach of how they fit in within our team. And from there, myself, athletic training, nutrition, and physical therapist, we come down with a customized, individualized program for them.
So not only obviously do you have to have the customized program for the players individually, but I'm sure Coach Lucas has a vision of what he wants this team to look like physically. I've been saying the last couple months here, man, it's looking more like a football team than a basketball team. There's got some big guys out there. So how do you make sure that you match? Obviously, you have your own idea of certain things, but then also matching what Coach Lucas sees as the outlook for this program from a physical standpoint.
Yeah, Coach and I meet daily. I'm obviously at every practice, and so being around him for so long, I know how he likes to play. It's defense, it's rebounding, it's tough, hard-nosed basketball, and that's where I came from. So I think we're a perfect fit for that. But basically getting everything from here to mirror what we're doing on the court. So everything is up-tempo, there's energy. In the summer, it's a little more gritty. We're trying to do those hard Friday morning workouts to get them ready for what's to come when we start practicing full go.
I've been around here early in the morning, seeing the guys running around here. I see, to end the summer workouts, you had them running the Key Biscayne Bridge, I believe it was. So talk about being down here in South Florida. You said it's a different, we're getting the rain down here now at this time of year, but you can pretty much work these guys outdoors also year round. From your standpoint, and you were in Texas, so it's not too much different there, but how does that kind of give you different ideas? Hey, we have this great facility here, but we can do a lot of stuff outside of the building here because we're in South Florida.
Yeah, we like to put them in, uncomfortable situations. So when, the game takes a turn for the worse, we're ready for it. And, they're comfortable inside when it's 70 degrees, good air condition, no wind, no sun. And I like to get them out of their environment. So we'll take them different places like the beach, running around campus. Obviously, the Key Biscayne Bridge is one of my favorites. But yeah, it's a great opportunity for team building and then see what they're really made out of.
Now, let's get into the roster a little bit. I know we can't talk about every single player, but I want to talk about some of the transformations that you've seen. So when you got here, when was the official day you got here? You started your... We
started summer workouts June 6th, but I got here around May just to get everything situated. Trey Donaldson was in town. Malik Renew was in town. So I worked with those guys right off the bat.
So once you pretty much got it, and then we'll get into it later, you didn't even have the full roster here over the summer. So getting a few of those guys still acclimated. But from that time that you took over to pretty much now, some guys that maybe stick out in terms of transformations physically.
Yeah, shoot, I'd say Ernest did a really good job. He showed up a little bit heavier. He's down almost 15 pounds. And if you've seen Ernest lately, he looks like a totally new man. He's put in a ton of work. Marcus Allen, about halfway through summer, I think everything clicked for him. And he's just really invested in the weight room. And then some of our younger guys, Shelton Henderson, he's put on almost 15 pounds of muscle. And I don't know if you've seen him lately, but he does not look like a freshman. So.
And Coach Lucas said it maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, that he had put on 10 pounds. So it sounds like he's continuing.
He's still working. These guys are in here working and dialing everything in.
Ernest, you mentioned him. I actually made that comment. I had interviewed him here in the facility later in the summer, and he looked lean. He looked quick also. And you see some of the stuff. And you being around the Big 12, I'm sure you had heard about him the last couple years. But some of these guys, I want to ask you about Dante Allen also, because he's another one who comes. I see he's a guard. He's a big guard.
Yeah.
So when these guys get here and you start working with them in the weight room, can you kind of tell, like, all right, I have to work with a guy a certain way, I have to coach a guy up a certain way because everyone's different? Just talk about kind of assessing each guy's personality in the weight room.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is find out where they've been and what they're used to of what the weight room is to them. And a lot of places, the weight room is somewhere where you go check off the box just so you can get to the court. Me, I think the weight room is truly indicative of the type of person you are. You can't cheat the work. You don't just show up and become stronger, faster. So I think it's a way where you can really test these athletes on something they may not necessarily love, but recognize the benefit to get to the court. So we try to put them in situations where we're always competing. I love tons of energy in here just because it makes, time go by way more smooth. And then just to see these guys compete and see what it's all about.
Some of the overseas guys here, Noam, Saleh, who am I missing? Timo. They have a pro background, right? So I'm curious as to how different it's been for them coming over here. Obviously, they were pros, but this is a very structured environment here at the college level as well. They're getting the nutrition that they're getting everything outside of just the weight room stuff here. So for those guys, how different has that been working with them, and what's been the biggest adjustment you would say?
I think they're blown away by the resources we provide here. In fact, like meals, their own personal strength coach, whole performance staff, coaches at their beck and call. Like that's something that they didn't have overseas. As far as being professionals, like these guys are business as usual all the time. So they're always coming in extra, scheduling times, and you can tell that they've, been around older pros for a while because they just conduct themselves like businessmen, which is nice to work with.
So I wanted to ask you about the nutrition side in just a second, but with those guys in particular, has that been tough? Or are they eating kind of, are they already adapting? Is it just grilled chicken, or has that been a little bit of an adjustment for them?
Yeah, like we'll do some stuff where we'll find out, what foods they like, and we'll have like a Mediterranean day or try to get stuff from what they're used to back home. And then kind of the great part with Miami is any kind of cuisine is 5 minutes away.
Right.
So I think they really love that part down here.
So we just talked about it with those guys, but just in general, how have you tried to implement that side of things? I mean, is it just you, or are there other people involved in that process here with you? Because it obviously goes hand in hand what they're doing in here.
So when they come in, we'll do an in-body test, so that measures lean body mass and fat mass. And our big thing is fat don't fly. So we're going to try to get these guys to put on lean body mass while keeping their body fat low. And how that starts is every day before their lift, they'll have a customized pre-workout shake. It's tailored to what they need, whether they need to gain or lose weight. And then either post-practice or post-lift, they'll have a customized protein shake. And then from there, we'll do all their blood work and then get all their proper vitamins and minerals that they need to help take them to the next level.
Walk me through what the phases are in terms of your program for these guys. You had the summer workouts. You're in a certain phase now, preseason. You get into the season now, and in just a little bit here. I mean, what does that look like in terms of? I don't need the daily regimen here, but just, are you deloading them? How much more are you putting on them now opposed to during the season?
So the biggest thing with summer is we need to get them ready and preseason for the demands of practice. So we go from an 8-hour period and jumping into a 20-hour. So that's a considerable bigger amount of volume. So it's our job here to make these robust athletes that can handle the rigors of practice. And so we're lifting 4 to 5 days a week, an hour a session. And then once we get in season, we do this probably different than most colleges, is we train every day we practice. So if we practice 7 days, we're lifting 7 days. And what the biggest thing is, the volume will come down. So instead of your standard 60-minute lift, it's a 20 to 30-minute lift, get in, get out, go to practice. And then after practice, they'll come in here for extra needs, whether that's hip mobility, ankle stability, any number of things they'll come in and work on here. So I'd consider this room, a lack of a better term, our body shop. So come in if you need better tires, shocks, oil change, whatever, we got you covered.
A few more questions here before I let you go, Coach. You mentioned flexibility. There's so much made in basketball, I think, compared to other sports, about how important staying flexible is, staying loose. You see so many non-contact, injuries in the sport. In terms of your program with these guys, how important is that aspect of it? And how many of them don't really understand it until they get to this level that, hey, it's not just getting big, strong, and fast, it's staying limber as well.
For sure. So I originally wanted to go to school to be a teacher, so I'm very.
You are teaching though. You are educating.
So the guys will kind of give me some crap sometimes, as far as like I'd like to go through and explain the why behind everything. So why is today heavy? Why is today light? Why are we just doing mobility today? And from there, they can kind of get better buy-in of the plan behind everything. So with a lot of these guys, if they have restrictions in certain areas, we're going to address those. So some guys need to be more stiff, need to be more reactive, and other guys are already super reactive, like a car spring, and we just need to, help them stay more available to work on those mobility exercises that they're not normally doing.
My last question for you, for those who aren't aware, Coach, you're involved in a podcast, Coach 'em Up podcast, and I've seen, watching a lot of the clips on social media. So guys, go check it out. It's interesting to me because you have a lot of people on there from different walks of life in the fitness world. So for you as a coach, you talked about your educational background there. Does it help to have people that kind of, you hear certain things from different perspectives and you say, hey, maybe there's something. I see you have some jujitsu people on there, for example, right? So like you talk to these people and say, hey, maybe there's something I can incorporate with what we're doing here.
Absolutely. I mean, the podcast has afforded me the ability to get the contact with some of the highest experts in each of their field that normally you wouldn't have to. And I'm a nerd with this kind of stuff. So if we need to work on, more endurance, work capacity stuff, I know a guy that's, top in the world at that kind of stuff. If we need to work on more mobility, stability kind of stuff, I know BJJ people, all that fun stuff. And then obviously, performance, being able to contact different strength coaches, either the NBA, NFL, Major League Soccer, all this stuff. So it's been a great opportunity to bring these, I guess, tools from other sectors to help our guys down here.
Coach Zillner, man, I'm really excited to have you down here in Miami. I've said it on the show a few times, but before even meeting you, that this is looking like a football team. I told you here now. So this is a big reason why I got, obviously, a very talented team. They're working hard in here and outside of the weight room with Coach. Appreciate your time today, man.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, man.
All right. That was, as I need to bring myself. Here we go. I'm back. So that was strength and conditioning coach, director of sports performance, Zach Zillner for Canes Hoops. Really enjoyed sitting down, talking to him, talked to him after for a bit as well, and talked to some other people around the program. So I'll drop some of those notes here in a second. But man, let me tell you, it wouldn't be right if that segment was not sponsored by our friends at Lomelo's Meat Market. Coach Zillner putting the weight on those boys or taking the weight off of some of them. If you want to do either one, eat right with the best meat that you can eat. Lomelo's Meat Market. Local store here in Miami, 9810 South Dixie Highway, about 5 minutes past Dayland, about 10 minutes by campus. But if you are not local, you can still get fresh Wagyu beef delivered to your door from Lomelo's. Hit lomelos.com. Use that promo code CIS10 for 10% off. And you see what we got here. We got the Japanese A5 Wagyu. We got the Australian Wagyu, American Wagyu. You see the tomahawk when I scroll down here. You see the skirt steaks, which to me, the skirt steaks, if you're for tailgating, and I know we have a bye week this week. So I know some of you guys may be out of the tailgates. Maybe, you don't do any grilling at the tailgates, so you don't worry about it. But you're going to be at home this week. You're going to be watching the rest of college football. Get right. Order Lomelo's. Go in person, in store, or order online for nationwide shipping. Again, lomelos.com, promo code CIS10. And before I get into some notes here, man, I got to say, shout out to our boy, Joel Warren, who commented, he said, played hoops at Miami, 85 to 89. And damn, things have certainly evolved. A little ice and stem or ice bath was the extent of our therapy options. Very impressive. And when Joel says he played hoops at Miami, he's not talking about the rec center. Because Joel, I just looked up your bio here. And guys, Joel Warren, I got to get you on the show, man. You're an integral part of Canes hoops history here, man. As a sophomore, one of only 3 players to see action in all 31 games, while also finishing as the second leading assists man on the team, 2.5 per game. And as a junior, scored 16 points against Marist at Madison Square Garden and played in all 31 games, including 14 starts. Joel Warren, man, appreciate your contributions to Canes hoops history. I got to get you on the show one of these days, man. Would love to hear your perspective, hearing some of these stories about how much things have changed, and always a great commenter on the show. So appreciate that, man. You're as Canes Cats Hoops 305 says, absolute legend, man. That was an interesting time for Canes Hoops in the late 80s there, and man, would love to hear some stories. So gotta hit you up, man. Gotta reach out and would love to get you on here. Maybe you become our basketball guy, man. We got to get, as you know, always trying to up the basketball coverage here on CanesInSight. But yeah, man, first official practice yesterday, Canes Cats Heat. I saw you asking in the comments if I was able to go. No, media was able to go for the first 15 minutes. I couldn't make it yesterday. I think they said that's the only open practice. So Jay trying to keep things tight, obviously. But just some notes from I see here it is again, the comment. So no, it was only open for 15 minutes. So I don't know how much people saw, but I've been lucky enough to be around, man. I've been lucky enough to be around this summer a good amount. You guys saw I was in there in the weight room with Coach. I've been in the facility a couple times as well, just talking to people. Obviously interviewed Trey Donaldson, Malik Renew, Ernest Udet earlier in the summer. Those are still, those interviews are still up and still available. So if you guys haven't seen them, we are, looking good in terms of the coverage on Canes Hoops here on CanesInSight. But some of the things that I'm hearing. So as Coach said there, Ernest Udet physically dropped weight. I mean, he looks really like a guy who should be an all ACC sort of player. I'm not saying first team, but he could be one of those teams, man, in terms of the rebounding, the ability to defend. He should be able to be a double-digit scorer just on being around the rim and running the floor, right? So Ernest Udet, with the weight that he's dropped already, this guy was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school. Started his career at Kansas, was at TCU last couple of years here. And I think with some of the development that's going on, the skills development at Miami, he's going to be taking that next step. There's a lot of excitement about Ernest Udet in the building right now. In terms of the Euros, man, you have Saleh Al-Tuntaj, you have Timotei Malovic, and Noam Dovrat, the Israeli combo guard, about 6'5", point guard, shooting guard. But let me tell you something. The buzz about Timotei Malovic is real. Coach Zillner told me, and again, I'm talking to multiple people, but Coach Zillner in particular told me, man, you guys better get something out there about Timotei. You guys better write because he said that guy, weight room wise, has already put on about 10 pounds. 6'9". We saw him with Slovenia, and he was, he's Slovakian, I believe. I do not want to. Let me not get this wrong. Yeah, he's Slovakian. He's Slovakian. So we saw him, the numbers and the highlights that he put up at the FIBA, the Euros, I believe it was this year recently. So I can't play the video because I've gotten hit from FIBA before on copyright. But I've talked about this guy before, man. He averaged 22.6 and was 44.8% from three in the World Cup qualifiers is what it was over the summer here. And this was not under 21. This was against grown men, against other national teams. So the vibe I'm getting, man, is Timotei Malovic might be a top 2 to 3 type player on this Miami roster. Is he a starter day one because he got here late? I don't know that he went late because he got here just now at the start of school, as did the other 2 internationals. I don't know how far behind the curve he is there, but in terms of his ability to stretch the floor, to get to the basket, to draw fouls, he's got these wide shoulders and is going to continue to put weight on here over the course of the season, because the nutritional aspect of things is just way different for them. But Timotei Malovic is a ball player. I think you're going to get him for multiple years here. Also, that's the expectation. So this isn't like a one and done type player. This could be a real building block for Miami's program. Canes Cat C305 says 3 first-round picks in 3 years. Let's see, man. They're going to be bringing a lot of talent in here on the recruiting side. They're doing just that. So in terms of the Euros, and again, from talking to Coach Zillner, he says the way that these guys approach things, it's rubbing off on guys like a lot, because they really approach things as pros. Like these other guys are, they're college students. They haven't had that same pro atmosphere, and although it was overseas, they don't have the same resources available to them. Their regimen, their schedule, and how they had to approach things over there has really carried over here, and it makes this almost easy for them, right? So none of this has been an adjustment for them, and they're very excited about what all 3 of them are bringing to the program in terms of on the court and off the court experience. Saleh Al-Tuntaj, the Turkish big man, I asked about him in terms of his weight. He's listed at 280 on the roster, so I didn't actually ask about what his weight was currently, even though he's listed at 280. But what Coach Zillner told me is this guy's lost. His weight stayed the same, but he's, from the scans that they've done, lost about 10 pounds of fat and added about 10 pounds of muscle. And he says if he lifts his shirt up right now, he's got a 6-pack. Because I asked him, like, well, Uday had to lose some weight. Did Saleh had to lose some weight too? He says yes, but his weight's the same. He's kind of reconfigured his body in terms of turning fat to muscle. And he says, if you see him right now without a shirt off, he's got a 6-pack. So he didn't seem overly concerned with that. With Altundage's the shape he was in, and he was another guy who came over from the World Cup qualifier. So he's been playing this summer, and he's been active. So he's in playing shape. So these guys, although they weren't with the team, they were still with, still playing ball and not in an off season coming in here out of shape. So those two, very excited about them. Dovrat, they expect him to bring some nice shooting and ball handling and ability to defend a couple different guard spots to the floor. But Timotej Malovic, man, that's the one I'm really laser focused on. Shelton Henderson, you saw there, Coach Zillner said that he's added about 15 pounds. And as a 5-star top 15 type talent in the country coming in here, the questions are always going to be with those guys, with those 5 stars. Hey, how long do you expect them? Is this a one and done type player? Just doing some digging about him. I think, I don't want to call it an expectation, but it's almost because expectation is a strong word, but I think there's a belief from a lot of people that this could be a guy who's here for 2 years at Miami. This is not a one and done player. Look, if he ends up being one and done, it's because he developed at a really, really quick rate. And his in terms of his ability to shoot the basketball, the confidence with the ball in his hands, we know what he is, what he can be defensively, what he can be in transition as an athlete. Physically, looks like a lottery pick. Looks like that. But I think he came to Miami with the relationship that he has with Coach Lucas as a guy who could be here for a couple of years and really develop. If it takes longer than that, I think it's almost like there's a fine line. If it takes more than 2 years, it's like, man, something went wrong in the development. It's hard to say that now without a crystal ball because there's so many things that can happen. And then if he is a one and done, it means, man, this guy surpassed expectations this year. Miami probably had a really, really good year, made the tournament, made a won a game, maybe made a little ACC tournament run, because that's how these guys get drafted. They get drafted based on games like that. When you're such a young talent like that who may not be a finished product. So to me, if you get that guy in the roster building, because that's what Jay wants, from what I understand, guys who aren't necessarily one and done. He's recruiting a lot of big time talents, but most of them that he's recruiting here are expecting to be in college for a couple of years. He wants to build that sort of program, and then obviously you have to supplement with the transfer portal. But that would be awesome, man, if you can expect to have him here for a couple of years. Marcus Allen, he's someone as a former top 60, top 70 recruit in the country coming over from Missouri. Defensively, that guy is going to bring you a ton, and then offensively, it seems like things are starting to, move in the right direction for him, starting to get a little bit more confident shooting the basketball. And in terms of the weight room stuff, man, I think outside of Udez transformation, Marcus Allen might have been the biggest weight room beast from what I understand. So as Canes Cats Heat 305 says here, we could have a majority of this team for 2 seasons. Yeah, Ernest Uday, I believe he'll be done here after this year. Malik Renew, he'll be done. And then Trey Donaldson, let me see here. Trey's a senior. Yeah, Malik's a senior, and then Uday's a senior. So you'll lose those 3 guys. But Dante Allen, ton of excitement around him. I think he's going to be, if not, I'm not saying he couldn't start, but I think he'll be maybe one of your first guys off the bench and really bring you a spark, can handle the basketball, can run the show a little bit, can run the floor in transition. Better shooter than I think people realize. Strong, can defend, can rebound, about 6'4", so he's not a tiny guard. So I long, and I think he's going to continue to grow, man. As his dad, Malik Allen, assistant coach for the Heat, power forward, played in the league for years. So got good pedigree there. I think generally, as we keep saying with this team, how great are they going to shoot the ball from behind the arc? We'll see. Can it be adequate enough to keep people at bay so that you can at least draw the defense to the perimeter a little bit? That will be the question. But they're going to grind some teams down. They're going to be able to just out physical, out athletic a lot of teams. And I think watching how Florida State has played a lot of these years with Leonard Hamilton, it hasn't always been the prettiest form of basketball. And I don't know that Miami's that big. Like they've over the years had 7-footers on 7-footers and been 6'8" across the board at times with like a 6'4", 6'5" point guard. But I think you're going to see Miami win some games kind of that way, where games are ugly, but the other team just can't get to the hoop because you're defending so well from the perimeter in, and you're just so physical, right? So that's what I'm looking at with this team right now. Practice has begun. We will continue to get more tidbits here. I don't think anyone's going to cover better than we will here, and I say that as humbly as possible. But we really here at CanesInSight take a pride in covering this Canes Hoops program. And yeah, man, I'm just excited to forget these last couple years, man. It was the road up to is, hold on a second. Stay right here real quick. The road to this point right here was a long one. The road to this point was a very long one. They can never take this away from us. Had the Elite Eight the year before that. Then we made it here. It was a long road. You know, maybe we made a deal with the devil, and that's what the last couple of years were all about. But I'm ready to make the climb again. So we will have you guys covered here at CanesInSight. Let's go make another run to the Final Four. Is it this year? I would be willing to trade a lot for that to happen. I don't know if that'll be the case, but I'll tell you what, they're working towards something really good here, man. I'm excited about what Jay Lucas has done. I'm excited about a lot of the recruits they're bringing on campus. Hopefully land a 5-star, another 5-star or 2 in this class. But they're working hard over there. It's all hands on deck. And it reminds me a lot of what Coach Cristobal has done over there on football, right? Is it going to be something that happens right away? I think we'll see a lot of signs of it this year. I think we will be very competitive in the ACC. Teams aren't going to run over us like we were the last couple seasons here. That was very tough to watch as someone who was at all these games. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see a product that we can all be proud about this year. So everyone, appreciate you joining me today. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Before I go, I want to remind you guys about Miami Hurricane Team Store, miamihts.com. You see, man, this is a classy cursive font Hurricanes Adidas shirt right here. I really like that one. Like the palm tree in the wind logo here. And stock up, man. See that Mark Fletcher jersey with the name on the back. You see how hard he's running for the Canes. You get signed memorabilia. And then, of course, promo code INSIGHT20 at miamihts.com. And then the store, of course, across from campus, right underneath the Thesis Hotel there. That's the only place that you need to go to stock up on your gear. Appreciate their support. As always, appreciate everyone who joined me today. Over an hour solo. D-Money, safe travels to him in Greece. But he will be checking in with you guys multiple times this week. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all. Hit that like, subscribe to the channel. Go Canes.